This picture shows a few young boys and girls are taking a selfie. Wherever a person is in the world, there is one word which can be found in any language, no matter what country he/she is in, and has increasingly become very popular. That word is a selfie. Over the past year, selfies have become a global obsession. In this picture, one boy is clicking selfie and other group members are making poses. Few of them are smiling and few are making other poses like pouting. All seem to be very happy and jovial in this picture. Maps of Australia's photosynthetic and non-photosynthetically active vegetation are shown. Although blue indicates non-photosynthetically active vegetation, green indicates photosynthetically active vegetation on northern and eastern beaches in Map A. Using the color red, Map B emphasizes the sparse vegetation in the center of the nation. The vast portion of the nation is covered in nothing but weeds and weeds. The percentage of water used in 2000 by Gulf nations is shown in the graph below. Agricultural usage is the primary use of water in 4 of the 6 nations studied. This includes Oman, 83%, Saudi Arabia, 85%, the United Arab Emirates, 65%, Qatar, 62%, and Oman, 83%. All 6 nations, on the other hand, utilize the least amount of water for industrial purposes, with water usage ranging from 2 to 18%. The majority of Gulf nations utilize the most water for agricultural purposes, and the least water for industrial purposes of any country in the region. Data in millions of people is depicted on a line graph for Australia's future population. The series has risen substantially from 20 in 2001 to 65 in 2101. This is shown in the graph. Afterwards, from 2001 to 2001, the Series B has grown from 20 to 45. As a result, the number of Series C models has risen steadily from 20 to 35 during the same time frame. So to summarize, it is estimated that Australia's population will grow in the near future. The image seems to be a kind of a pie chart that is divided into 5 different size portions showing the healthy options to eat. Bigger the portion, healthier the food. The different parts of the plate suggest various edible items to bring in homeostasis, or physical and mental balance. There are 2 large portions of the plate, one shows fruits and vegetables, and the other one has bread, rice, potatoes, and pasta. Slightly little than those portions are the parts of milk or dairy products, and poultry and meat. The smallest part of the eatable plate is of foods and beverages having high fats and sugars. Overall, we can conclude that to remain alive and kicking we should be eating a very well-balanced diet. The graphic depicted is a dual-line graph that provides us with crucial information on the typical classroom sizes in the United Kingdom. From 1994 to 2006, the study was carried out. While the x-axis lists years, the y-axis lists typical class sizes, which range from 19 to 29 students. The primary school is identified by a greenish dotted line, whereas the senior school is identified by a purple dotted line. The primary class size has grown somewhat in 1998, despite the fact that both lines ran virtually parallel. Ups and downs are absent on the secondary line. Overall, both lines stay steady in their respective locations. In 1990 and 2000, the fertility rate of Gulf nations was compared using this bar graph, which shows the number of births per woman. In 1990, Oman had the highest fertility rate in the world, with a rate of 7 births per woman. In terms of births per woman, Saudi Arabia came in second with around 6.8. Bahrain and Kuwait, on the other hand, had the lowest fertility rates in the region, with about 3.5 children per woman. Oman and Saudi Arabia had the highest fertility rates in 2000, with each woman giving birth to around 5.5 children. There are an average of 2.5 births per woman in Bahrain. Compared to other Gulf Arab countries, Oman and Saudi Arabia had the highest per woman fertility rates in 1990 and 2000, while Bahrain had the lowest. In addition, the fertility rates of all the nations depicted in the graph decreased between 1990 and 2000. The chemical transition is depicted in the following graph. The first phase, according to the diagram, is chemical sources, which are created by industry, transportation, or smelting, and electricity generation. Following that, the second step is about emissions, which means wastes will be emitted to the atmosphere amazing as nitrogen oxide and sulfur dioxide. Chemical transformation is the third phase, which converts the ingredients into nitric acid and sulfuric acid. After then, it is separated into two categories, condensation and dry fallout, which contains particles and gases. Finally, precipitation, acid rain, fog, snow, and mist will occur. Finally, this graph is quite useful. World population growth in emerging and industrialized countries from 1750 to 2050 is seen in this line graph, measured in billions. Around 1 billion people lived on the planet in 1750, the vast majority of them were from emerging countries. Since then, global population has grown continuously, with a noteworthy spike in 1950. By the year 2050, the global population is expected to top 10 billion people, with about 9 billion of those individuals living in developing nations. Globally, most people reside in underdeveloped nations. There has also been a steady growth in the world's population since 1750, and it is expected to continue until 2050. The image illustrates how one can have 100% health, which is known as homeostasis. To live a healthy life, one should have a balanced life that consists of mental stability, good level of energy, and top of all, motivation to keep the spirit on. The triangle typically shows a balance between relaxation and stress management, diet and nutrition, and finally fitness and exercise. One should follow a nutritious diet and should practice healthy exercises for better fitness. Nevertheless, it is very important to stay relaxed and have control over the stress. A perfect combination of positive energy, mental stability, and the highly motivated state will render 100% health. From the 21st to the 27th of April, the precipitation totals in Haiti and the Western Dominican Republic were shown on a line graph in mm/h. Until the 23rd of April, there has been no accumulation of rain. This rose throughout time, peaking on the 27th of April at 400 mm/h for the maximum and an average of 100 mm/h for the average. It was only on the 24th of April that the greatest total rainfall intensity reached at roughly 30 mm/h. On the 25th of April or 26, the average total rainfall intensity peaked at roughly 5 mm/h. As a whole, the amount of rain fell steadily rose. While the average rainfall total remained modest, the maximum rainfall intensity varied. This pie chart represents sector-wise electricity consumption in India in year 2014. Electricity consumption is highest in industry, followed by residential, agricultural and commercial sector. Consumption of electricity in residential and agriculture sector is almost equal to that of the industrial sector. Consumption of electricity in the transportation sector is negligible. Agriculture sector uses electricity mainly to pump out groundwater for irrigation. A food chain is depicted visually in this graph. Bees and plants are clearly shown in the graph as the initial phase. Fish devour bees, according to a graph that shows how things will go from here. According to the graph, the following phase is bears devouring the fish, which is clearly seen. The skeleton of a bear can clearly be seen on the graph, as the final phase. In the graph, it is evident that the cycle repeats itself at the beginning of the cycle. As a result, this graph depicts a food chain. According to the pie chart, teens obtain their news from a variety of sources. 70% of teens obtain their news from social media, while just 17% rely on their close friends and family. A mere 10% of their news comes from television, while the remaining 33% comes from newspapers, making them the least well-informed group. Social media is where teens obtain the most of their news, with the fewest coming from print media. An informative multiple-line graph shows the worrying condition of the total greenhouse gas emissions in the United Kingdom. There are 3 lines that depict the actual emissions, the projected range, and the target of gas emissions in a million tons. While it is a relief that the actual emission had dropped significantly from around 750 million tons in 1990 to little below 650 million tons in 2000, it is very surprising to mark that the projected range then shoots up and touches the mark of 680 million tons. The actual target set is around 640 million tons. To sum this all up, we can say that the gas equivalent to carbon dioxide would rise instead of falling. The graph depicts data on the life expectancy of newborns based on their gender. According to the graph, the biggest number of men can be seen in 2013, which stands at about 80. The least number, roughly 50, was recorded in 1888. On the graph, it's easy to observe that in 2013, there were around 75 more women than in any other year. In 1888, the smallest number is 45, which may be discovered. The number was about 60 in 1988, according to census data. Finally, the data shown in this graph pertains to the average lifespan of a person. Comparing the percentage of U.S. subprime loans with the percentage of house owners from 1997 to 2007, this graph may be seen. In 1997, the subprime portion was just 7%. By 2006, it had risen to over 20%, and finally, in 2008, it fell to 8%. After progressively increasing from 65% in 1997 to 69% in 2004, the percentage of people who owned a house dropped to 68% in 2007. Overall, the percentage of subprime loans climbed over time and collapsed in 2007, but the percentage of homeowners stayed the same. The different structures found deep within the Earth are depicted in this image. The Earth's outermost regions are made up of the atmosphere and crust. Both the mantle and the outer core of the Earth are found deeper within the planet's crust. The Earth's inner core is a sphere. This graphic might be used in classrooms to teach students about the Earth's ecosystems. This chart compares the factors contributing to land degradation by region, expressed as a percentage. Oceania has the greatest percentage of degraded land in the world at 13%. In terms of land degradation, overgrazing is the most prevalent cause, 11.3%, whereas overcultivation is the least common, at 0%. Only 5% of North America's total land area is deteriorated, making it the least so in the world. Overcultivation is the most prevalent source of land degradation, 3.3%, whereas deforestation is the least common, at 0.2%. Overgrazing and overcultivation are the most prevalent causes of land degradation in Oceania and North America, respectively. The pie chart displays the many modes of transportation utilized by Birmingham residents. Birmingham residents rely on public transportation more than they do on their automobiles. Buses are used by 38.9% of persons for everyday commuting, while trains are used by 30.5%. Only 11.5% of the population travels by automobile. In Birmingham, 19.1% of people commute by cab. In Birmingham, buses are the predominant means of transportation.